The day I received the highest salary of my career was the same day my parents tried to financially trap me like a target they had been hunting for years. My name is Ariana Blake, a 32-year-old project strategist living in Seattle, and until recently, I believed distance could protect me from my family. I was wrong, very wrong. When my promotion email pinged on the screen, I was still staring at it in disbelief, hand over my mouth, trying to process the number. But before I could even smile, my parents were already buzzing the lobby of my building. No congratulations. No warmth. Just urgency, like sharks smelling blood. They barged into my apartment 10 minutes later, carrying a wilted grocery store cake and smiles so forced they looked painful. My mom, Linda, scanned the apartment with narrowed eyes, like she was estimating its resale value. My dad, Carl, didn't even sit down before asking, "So, what's the new salary?" Not, "How do you feel?" Not, "We're proud of you." Just numbers. Only numbers. And then, with the confidence of people who had contributed nothing to my success, they said the words I had heard in nightmares. "We think it's fair that you give us 40% of your monthly income starting now." They said it like a rule, not a request.
A debt.
A responsibility. A burden I never agreed to carry. I kept my voice calm. Years of practice. "I'm not giving you that." My mother's smile snapped off her face. My father leaned back, arms crossed. "We raised you," he hissed. "You owe us." Funny how people who never helped you love to rewrite history. I left home at 19 with a broken phone, 2 thrift store bags, and a scholarship I earned alone. My parents had always treated affection like a loan and basic parenting like a lifelong debt. They loved control, not me. So that night, when they pushed, demanded, guilt-tripped, something inside me finally broke clean. I opened a drawer, pulled out a sealed envelope, and placed it in front of them. Mom grabbed it like it was a lottery ticket, but I stopped her hand. "Before you open it," I said, "you need to understand something. You don't get to walk in here and take what I've worked for." She snatched her hand back, scoffing. "Stop being dramatic, Ariana." "Open it," I said.
They did.
And their entire expression shifted as they scanned the first page. Not money.
Not cash.
Not a check. It was a legally notarized independence contract they had signed themselves 4 years ago, one they'd forgotten about. A document stating that I was not responsible for any of their financial decisions, debts, or support. Their faces drained of color. This isn't real," Mom whispered. "It's very real," I said. "And it means you cannot legally demand a cent from me." Dad slammed the papers down. "This doesn't change anything." "It changes everything," I answered. Just then, the buzzer rang. 3 sharp rings. My parents froze. I opened the door and stepped aside as my attorney, Riley, and an officer walked in. The officer held a file. "Carl and Linda Blake, you're being served for filing a fraudulent support petition and submitting falsified messages claiming your daughter promised you monthly payments." Mom gasped. Dad stumbled back. "You can't do this," he whispered. "We're your family." I stared at them, calm, steady. "Family doesn't mean ownership." The officer handed them the documents. My mother broke into messy, theatrical crying. My father's jaw shook. But it didn't end there. The courtroom was cold, silent. My parents tried to play victims.
They cried.
They begged. They talked about struggling. But Riley, the calmest person in every room, placed their fake messages on the judge's desk. Then another surprise entered the room. My late grandmother's sister, Elena, walking in with slow, steady steps. She testified with a voice sharp as glass. Ariana built her life alone. Linda and Carl never supported her. They drained her for years. My mother's sob turned into a gasp. The judge leaned back, expression stern. "Petition dismissed. And the court will issue fines for submitting fraudulent evidence." My parents wilted in their seats. I walked out of that courthouse feeling lighter than I ever had. I moved into a quiet apartment overlooking the water. Bought a little wooden desk. A plan I hoped I wouldn't kill. Silence replaced chaos. Days later, a letter arrived from Mom. Not an apology. A list of illnesses, emotional guilt, and another request for money. I folded it once,
Twice.
and let it drop into the trash. My hands didn't shake this time. Later that month, I got a call. Elena had passed peacefully. She left me her cottage outside Tacoma. I sold it and donated the money to an organization supporting victims of financial abuse. It felt right. It felt healing. One night, I stood on the pier, Seattle lights shimmering across the water, and realized, for the first time in my entire life, my peace belonged to me. If you've ever had to choose courage over guilt, or protect yourself from the people who are supposed to protect you, tell your story in the comments. And for more real stories of strength, survival, and reclaiming your life,